Hello and welcome to Leave the Feed 30 Days of Disconnect. Today is day two. Are you in? And sitting in with me today to discuss Are You In is the chief advisor of Leave the Feed, who is really at the epicenter at the construction of this project, helped so much in developing the book, is Manasi Patel. It's awesome to see you today.
Thank you so much for inviting. It's been very fun working on this project. Just taking this new segment for the podcast. I'm really excited to see how this goes and looking forward to the conversation as well.
You and I have known each other for almost 5 years. Mentee of mine, and I'm also a mentee of yours. This cross generational sharing of knowledge. So it's great to reconnect, but a lot of the audience doesn't know anything about you. So let's talk about your journey as a creator, as a child, and how it's transformed and where you are today and what you're passionate about.
Right. It was never about like being a creator. I never like planned to do so. But writing, speaking about stuff that I'm passionate about, that has always been like a part of me. But lockdown has been a very important phase in my life, I would say, because there I was in the lockdown, like no school, nothing much to do. And I was like writing something, and whatever I was writing turned out to be like a whole book long. So I went to my father and I was like, this is something that I wrote. So he said, why don't you try to publish it? But it was very funny because I never thought about it and we didn't know like even the ABC about publishing. So I went on the internet and I got to know about self-publishing. So it was very exciting. It was also very intimidating because writing a book, publishing a book, and I used to buy those books from Amazon and to know that my book, something that I wrote, could actually be there. It was interesting. But yeah, so I learned about everything. I did my formatting, the cover and stuff, editing and stuff. I did it sitting like in a corner of my house. And then when I actually published it to Amazon, it was very exciting to see my book on the Amazon page. That was a very important moment for me, I would say. So and that like really opened the doors for me, opened the entire world to me, I would say, because I felt like if I have done this, then why can't I do more? This is something that I never imagined. So why not more? So that led me into, cold emailing people for the book that I wrote. I wanted people to read it and like let me know what's good, what's bad. I started cold emailing people and the emails were way too funny. And I used to email it from like my mother's email. So sometimes I go back and like the emails are so funny. But some people were so kind. They actually replied and everything, and then they really helped me go through it. So yeah, that kind of it was like a very trial and error process. So yeah, after I wrote my books, I got on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has been a very integral part as well. So as a creator, I started writing. I wrote for like magazines, and speaking has also been an important part. I spoke at events. I conducted workshops for students. So I realized that like, being a creator, it's not just about putting out content, but also like putting out yourself because and it gave me a lot of confidence because then you are like you're just sitting in front of your screen and there's like a whole world in like beyond the screen and you don't know what's going to happen, so it's also interesting, also intimidating, but like the possibility of doing something, of achieving something. So yeah, I think that's like an important part of being a creator. And I do want to explore it more as I go through college and everything. So, and my journey, I would say it's been like very messy, experimental. I've done a lot of mistakes. And when I speak to students, when I do workshops in schools, I also make it a point to like tell them about the mistakes that I've done. So that, they can improvise on those points and stuff. So yeah, I love the journey.
You brought up, it can feel messy, right? And I think that's life, right? It's for all of us. We're all figuring it out and things are unfolding. And when you wrote your first book, you were how old?
I was 14.
Yeah, you're 14 years old figuring out all of this. And then that was a story. That was a crime story, right? The first book that you wrote.
That, yes, a
Yeah.
mystery.
And then as you got older, you talked about speaking in front of students. A lot of your work was about like mentoring younger students, but also Gen Z empowerment. And what was it about empowerment itself? What did you want to bring to, your community? What did you want to bring to students? What did you want to bring to your peers? What was it inside of you? Because you had a lot inside of you that was burning to speak, to help. So what was the root of that?
I think it was like a kid inside me at the very base of it all because when you're a little child and you like do something and it turns out to be great, then you want to tell all of your friends about it too. You want them to know how to do this and all of that. So I guess like at the base of it was that. And as I gain more knowledge about like for example for that sphere, I wanted students my age to know about this because when I was on LinkedIn, it was like as I said, a very different world. There were students very much younger than me doing awesome things that I had never even thought that, people in my age could do. So and that was like a very interesting thing. So I wanted to tell everyone from my school, everyone who didn't know about that, hey, this is what you can do, this is what we can do. So I think that's where the empowerment came from. And it was very personal because when I saw students doing this, even I wanted to do something. Maybe even if it was like from a different venture than from what I was doing, I wanted to do more, push beyond. So I felt that seeing people do things, you get inspired to do things. It's like a chain kind of thing where you get inspired by seeing someone else. So I guess that's where it came from, the empowerment thing. I want to, help teenagers create a space where they can empower themselves. They can do things about whatever that they are passionate about, not like be underconfident about it.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most exciting things to me about Gen Z. And one of the reasons I wanted to work on Leave the Feed with your generation was because I was seeing what young kids were doing, during the pandemic and lockdown. And I was thinking, wow, there's so much opportunity. Growing up, we could mow lawns, be a babysitter, like earn extra money doing little chores and stuff. And now people had these outlets to really express themselves and to create and do all of these wonderful, wonderful things. But obviously, social media has, pros and cons, and Leave the Feed exists for a reason because we need to find balance. What's your journey been like? Because I know you and I met on LinkedIn, and I know that's an important platform for you. But when you look at the ecosystem of social media and how has it helped you, and where has it really challenged you in your core as a person?
From whatever I've experienced so far, I think social media, I feel like it can be either a platform where you can, elevate yourself, or it's also like a paradox because if you get caught in like the whirlwind of the messy part of it, then it's very hard to get out of it. Like it can be like a platform where you can put out your voice. For me, it has been like that. So social media, it has been like a platform for me to grow. But I think for a lot of people, for those who are starting new, they do fear this, ki, am I doing this right? And like because they have like someone, they are looking up to someone who has reached a certain height. So they compare themselves with them. They are not doing the things like this. So should I do it or not? Will people laugh at what I'm doing and stuff? So that's like the negative angle of it. But there's the constant cycle of, am I doing enough? Am I posting enough? Am I growing enough? And it can get toxic if you don't pause. But personally, for me, I met a lot of people. I met you, and then we started working on Leave the Feed. So I guess you need to learn sometimes where to draw boundaries as well. LinkedIn is a good platform, but then like especially teenagers use other social media platforms as well, and those platforms usage is quite more than LinkedIn. So those platforms are more toxic and students get really caught up in that. In my 12th grade, for example, I wasn't on social media a lot. Like on LinkedIn, I was non-existent basically. So it's okay to if you like take some pause for whatever like is going on in your life. If you even if you like you want to be a creator, it's about drawing boundaries, not making your feed your entire. personality, and especially if you are a creator, then not letting the numbers define the impact that you're having. Because even if you have an impact on one person, it still counts. Right?
Yeah, very important, that impact and where we make that impact. And you brought up at the beginning of this discussion, you're a creator. We're all creators. We're all bringing things into this world. But when you look at social media on any platform and you see someone with 10, 20, 30, 40,000, a million followers, and you're young
Mm.
and you aspire to be like that, they're on a different path, a different trajectory. Who knows how they got there, but what's right for you, what's right for me, what's right for anyone. I mean, that's something we all have to answer for ourselves, is the why. Why am I doing this? And to understand also when to hit that pause button that you're talking about, that can be challenging. And when do you decide when to hit the pause button? Like, how do you know?
I guess you'll know it like by instinct, like on days that you're feeling too frustrated. Like, I think you should take a pause, even if it's like for one day, because I learned growing up and like learning. My parents also constantly telling me about this. Your health should be your first priority, mental health, physical health. So even if you feel even a little bit frustrated, I think you should take a break, and then depending upon that, whether you want to take like a day's break, a month's break, or like maybe a 3 months break to reconnect with yourself. So yeah, I think it's just you'll just know when to do that, and you should trust your gut on that.
Right. Because if you continue to push yourself in a state of stress and anxiety and try to measure up against something that isn't right for you, you can never reach that. That mountain might not be yours to climb. And if it's not, you can never find your footing. You can never get to that next level. And that next level is different for all of us. And I love what you said about, the impact that you make is by those real connections. It's that one person that you really touch that has a butterfly effect across, that ripples. That's what's really exciting.
True. And if you're pushing yourself more than what your capabilities, it will just lead you to burnout, and then you'll take like this has happened with me. Sometimes everything that I want to do, I try to do it in like one day, or I pull like an all night, and then I have to sleep the entire next day. So then that just that's of no use basically. So yeah, I think you should like have a healthy schedule, something that I still uh, have to integrate in my life. But
So, good segue into talking about commitment. Today is day 2 of Leave the
mm,
Feed, where we really ask, our readers, our participants, those that are part of the Leave the Feed challenge, to really make a commitment and to sign an agreement that they're going to go through these 30 days. And commitment's really challenging. A lot of us just like to do things very short term. Like you even said, like, I can get this done quickly, or how can I just move past this, right? And here we're asking something very unique. We're asking people to go on a journey, but it's not a journey to lock your phone away. It's not a journey to really, throw shade at social media. You can be on this journey and use social media if you really have to. What does the Leave the Feed commitment mean to you, and how do you integrate commitments into your life, and how have they made you better?
commitment, I knew about it, but I guess college has taught me a lot more about commitment. And now it's not just about, showing up every day. It's like it's about like showing up even when no one is watching you. I'd like to use like what I'm facing on a daily basis now. So I'm studying computer science, right? And to become like a good programmer, it's not like you can like study for 1 month and then you'll know everything about it. You have to like practice like coding every day so that you can, that it's like the little errors. If there's like even one semicolon missing in the code won't run, and you have to like sit for 5 hours in front of the computer and try to decode it. So and when you do it like every day, when you try to solve like one problem every day, it's like you get like the instinct, you just understand where the problem might be. So, commitment in that sense can be just showing up like even when you don't really want to, when things are getting boring and stuff. So yeah, commitment has been like a big part of my life right now. And one more example I'd like to use is, so like my assignment submissions and stuff. If I don't do it like every day, then at the end of the submission period, there are like 10 submissions I have to do it once. So then it's all about quickly writing, and then which in turn leads me to burnout. So it's a very bad cycle to continue. So yeah, I guess commitment, you should practice it like daily. And it's also a form like it teaches you self-trust as well. I think because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you like grow a little. If you say I'll do this tomorrow and you actually do it, it increases like your trust in yourself. And that has been like a beautiful learning. I'm trying to put it in my life. So you start believing that you if you've done it once, if you did it yesterday, you can do it today as well. When you like put it in your life, it does have a big impact.
It does have a big impact, but you're right. It is challenging to stick with a commitment, right? To show up every day when it's hard, to bring your consciousness to something that you know is important, that's going to make you better with a myriad of distractions around you. And, you showed a commitment as a 15 or 14-year-old, writing a book, formatting a book, publishing a book, then doing speaking, a lot of commitment inside of there. And you said it's a messy journey. Now, with Leave the Feed, we ask for a commitment, and the commitment isn't lock your phone away and see what happens. We're asking people to go on a journey to reconnect. And what is it about that reconnection journey that you feel is essential for not just your generation, but all humans?
As a student, like I see, my friends sometimes we are so into what social media has to offer because especially with Instagram, like you have those stories, right, from people. So if you want to like see what's going on in their life, you're so interested in that. Every time you open the app, even like initially Instagram was like supposed to like show your feed and what you post and everything, but it's like shifting towards seeing what other people are doing in their life. So suppose if the Wi-Fi goes off for even like one day, for even if for 1 hour, you immediately start like fidgeting and stuff. And then you will go and see what your family members are doing. You go into the rooms where, like with your mobile, you're just sitting in like one corner. You're just sitting on your bed, being a potato couch. But then the Wi-Fi goes and you have nothing to do on your phone. And then you go and, talk with your parents and stuff. You talk with your brother. And it feels so wholesome. It feels like as if you are into a total different experience. But and that is sad actually, because it's sad because like it's always there, it's always existing, but you don't have the time to look up from your phone and actually reconnect with whatever it's in your surrounding. But like in my house, my father loves plants and saplings and stuff, so he has a lot of them. So sometimes, like taking a break from social media for me, when my parents are not around, I go and visit the balcony and stuff and like observe the plants. My father is very enthusiastic about it, so like he observes every like tiny leaf as well. Like he pays attention, oh, this leaf is turning yellow, so it needs more sunlight, and then he'll bring it near the window and stuff. So I try to put that in my life as well. I try to observe the plants and stuff. So, with Leave the Seed book, that is what we want people to do, right? Is you connect more with your like the people around you, the surroundings around you. And yeah, like that's very beautiful. So I guess more teenagers and people, Gen Z especially, should have that in their life.
I think it's beautiful what you said too, that those moments, right, that somehow pass us by every day because we're fixated on our phones, right? We're fixated on this little ecosystem that contains the whole world in the palm of our hand, right? And then all of a sudden, yeah, like a moment comes where we don't have that connection, and all of a sudden we have to sort of snap into reality. And you're like, whoa, like this feels good. This is beautiful. I haven't acknowledged this. Like, and then oh wait, the Wi-Fi's back on, not, now let me go back into my device and just become fixated
Yeah.
again. And I think that's what's unique about this experience of Leave the Feed is because there's a lot of different ways in this guide to help foster those connections that you might not even know exist. Like the things around you that are so special. Like it's not just about staring at a plant, it's about pondering creation. There's so much depth and meaning to all of these experiences that we have, but when we don't have our eyes open to them and we're not observing them, like you said, like we have to step back and almost observe the reality that we're in as it is. It's really cool.
True. And the funny thing is like after the Wi-Fi comes on and then you again go on like social media and again post about it. The Wi-Fi was not on. So I had like reconnected with my family and it was so wholesome. And then again you go back in the cycle, to see how many people have replied, how many people have seen the post that I wanted to do. So yeah, with this challenge, people can actually step back and reconnect more and not just for the sake of it. Okay.
So, what's your hope for those that are taking this challenge? What's your encouragement? What wisdom do you have? Whether they're going through all 30 days or they're just looking for some like inspiration to help manage their social media use, what do you want them to get out of this experience?
I think the fact that they started the challenge is like a big thing in itself. So, like you said yes to growth, you said yes to improving yourself, and that's a pretty big deal. You didn't wait for like the right time, but you started it. We started now, and that's very important. So, one of the things I'd like to hope that people do is they shouldn't hope for for being perfect because if you're like starting the challenge, there are times you won't be able to complete like the entire challenge. There'll be like so maybe you'll miss like a day, maybe you'll miss 2 days. And that's okay. You just have to be honest to yourself about to see what the end goal is. Because we don't want people to, know about like not use social media, but because it's about reconnecting, it's okay if you miss some days. You shouldn't feel guilty about it because you have to be honest to yourself. But you do have to keep showing up because growth isn't like always the linear stuff. It's like up and down. So with this challenge as well, it will be like that. At the end of the day, you'll be closer to yourself, you'll be closer to the people around you, and that would be the most important thing. So even if it's like not your online version, if even if you're not like productive online, you are getting closer to yourself.
Do you have any other inspiring words or parting words of wisdom for your generation to empower them to live more productive, healthy, positive lives?
It's very important that you're being honest to yourself because at this age it's very very common to get into peer pressure and everything, and social media has a very very large part of it. You see people age doing stuff and then you don't want to feel left out, but it's very important that you stay honest to the principles that you have. As for example, in college there are a lot of people with a lot of different thought processes, and not that they are wrong, but it's just the way that they see life. So the way that you see life, it's very important that you stick to it. You stick to those principles.
I love that of staying true to your values, staying true to you, and making sure that you're on a journey that is right for you and you're not trying to be on someone else's journey. It's one thing I've always admired of you, and it's a reason that I've enjoyed working with you so much on this project.
I have one more actually, like because it's also about reconnecting with the people around you, right? So it's very important that you have like a support group, to have like friends and family members so that you can, whenever you can just go and talk to them if something is not feeling right. Having those friends, it's very important for like your mental health. And you'll realize that it's so much fun to hang out and like in person than, to get on social media and like keep chatting through the night or something like that. So when you get together and you do activities, celebrate birthdays and stuff, it's very wholesome and it gives you much more dopamine than, doom scrolling or something.
Right, right. It's like a long-term sustainable feeling of
That's
euphoric
true.
connection as opposed to, you know, quick hits of jolting you. Well, thank you so much. You've been an awesome guest. Thank you so much for being part of this project. I really appreciate you. For those listening, be sure to share, leave the feed with a friend, give us a rating, a review, subscribe to this channel. And Manasi, thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.